someone. Always trust my gut.
Hello and welcome to Gutted. I'm Aleece.
And I'm Tony, and we're here to spill our guts about horror films. And welcome to our 20th episode. Aleece, did you invite Michael Meowers to be a guest on our episode today?
Yes, I did, Tony. It is a very special episode because it is our 20th episode. He really wanted to show up. He's not going to say much, but he'll be here.
For those of you watching on YouTube, you might recognize something different about our set. We've moved away from the
cloth wood backdrop.
You mean the real wood backdrop?
The potentially real wood backdrop. If you thought it was real, cool.
And we've moved the podcast into the corner of our living room. So welcome. Yeah. And Michael Meowers is here. We call him Michael Meowers because...
Not supposed to reveal him.
A couple other things about our new set. We have some lovely decorations that have been gifted to us. We have the Blockbuster VHS replica tape and the Be Kind Rewind neon sign that was donated to us by our good friend Rob, who is a production designer, does these really cool pop-ups, theme pop-ups and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so he did a Blockbuster pop-up and we were quite excited to be given the neon Be Kind Rewind sign.
And we have a couple of skeletons and all the
classic spooky things.
The 3-wick candle, that's a must.
Yeah, Bath and Body Works. Shout out Bath and Body Works.
Today we will be discussing 2021's Spiral from the Book of Saw, directed by Darren Lynn Bousman and written by Josh Stolberg and Peter Goldfinger.
First, we'll recap the first half of the episode. We'll go over our predictions for the second half. Then after we watch the second half, we will return with our prediction results. And then finally, our award ceremony.
And if you haven't seen Spiral and you want to play along, it is currently streaming on Hulu. Watch about 46 minutes, press pause, come up with some of your own predictions, and see if you were more correct than us or less correct than us.
Yeah. Before we get started, I have a question for you, Tony. If you were in a Saw movie, and we've watched all the Saw movies now, with the exception of the second half of Spiral, but since we've seen all the other Saw movies, I would consider us to be fairly expert level knowledge of Saw and traps.
Yes, although they all kind of blend together. It all gets very confusing.
The 1 through 4 definitely have a very interweaving timeline. The other ones, who knows what happens? We watched them all in sequential order.
Yes.
One summer.
We binge watched them, yes.
Because we purchased Spiral with the intention of filming a gut reaction episode, I think last year. And so in preparation, we watched Saw 1 through 8. And after we watched the 8 Saw movies, we're tired.
We got burnt out on Saw.
Yeah, we weren't able to watch Spiral. So here we are a year later trying to continue on with this plan. But since we've seen all the other ones, Tony, if you were in a Saw movie, what would be your vice that would get you landed in a jigsaw trap?
I think it'd probably be not paying attention.
Not paying attention.
Yeah.
You didn't pay attention.
Yeah. I'd probably just walk into a Saw trap by accident because I wasn't paying attention. I don't know.
Like victim of circumstance. You happen to be here, so you're going to be my test subject.
Yeah. I'm like, what is this chair with this bear trap looking thing? What if I stick my head in it? No need to chloroform me. I'm just going to get right in.
I'm going to do this willingly. Well, I mean, that is your fault then.
Maybe I cut Jigsaw off on the freeway.
You weren't paying attention on the freeway.
I wasn't paying attention on the road, and Jigsaw got pretty pissed, so decided to put me in a Saw trap.
Yeah, you wore away his brake lines on his car.
He's been known to put people in Saw traps for less.
Yeah, it's true. So this was probably a trap from like Saw 6 or 7.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right after he got the janitor who was smoking. Yeah. And then the jaywalker who he put in the...
Jigsaw was just feeling very irritable.
Yeah.
By that point. He did have like stage 4 cancer, so I understand. What would be your trap then?
Maybe I'll get like the ice crunch. That was a fun Saw trap.
He's going to smash your head?
Yeah. That's right.
All right, Jigsaw. That sounds plausible. Saw 11. Here we come.
Yeah. What about you? What is your Saw vice?
I feel like he would get me for being idle.
For being idle?
Yeah, I sit down a lot and I watch a lot of movies. He'd be like, you're not going outside and enjoying the scenery and butterflies. He would make me sit in a chair until I got bed sores. Chair sores.
Oh, so it's like you have to do the thing that you're already doing.
Yeah, like it's kind of like when you're trying to give up smoking, you smoke in excess so that you'll vomit and never want to smoke again. Or if you're trying to give up chocolate, you'll eat so much chocolate that you hate chocolate afterward. So he'll make me sit down for so long that I get like chair sores.
Yeah, that sounds like a great movie.
So he's really helping me. I really understand. He's helping me go outside or get out of my chair and stop watching movies.
Yeah, you just have to cut off both your legs to enjoy the nature outside.
That is probably what he would do. You can either stay in your chair forever and starve to death, or cut off your legs and army crawl to the door outside.
Jigsaw's traps seem to have a time limit to them usually. So if you're going to starve to death, that's like takes up too much of the movie. You have like 30 minutes.
All right. So you have to stay in your chair and watch your favorite movie, but a laser from that movie screen is going to zap your eyeballs out. Or you have to cut off your own legs and army crawl to the door to go outside.
All right. I like this army crawl idea. That's nice.
I guess I'd have to army crawl and go outside and never watch movies again. In that case, I guess he helped me. So thank you, Jigsaw.
Yeah. Thanks, Jigsaw.
All right. Well, that was a fun question. Let's get on with our movie. Spiral begins. It's the 4th of July, and we follow Detective Boswick, who is following a pickpocketer dressed as Uncle Sam into a manhole. And he's like, oh man, I gotta follow this pickpocketer into a manhole. So he goes into the manhole. And as an audience member, we're pretty sure that Boswick is going to be our first victim. Mm-hmm. And he is. So Boswick gets strapped up to a trap in a subway station.
It's like a rudimentary Jigsaw trap. So you're automatically thinking like, all right, this isn't the Jigsaw.
Yeah, this is a copycat for sure.
A copycat. We're dealing with a copycat movie here.
Yeah, he's on a step stool and his tongue is clamped down with a vice hanging from the ceiling. And a little video clip plays that says, you have railroaded people. Now you will be railroaded. He's on the train tracks.
It's almost like a caricature of John Kramer's Jigsaw videos. It's like when you listen to a karaoke version of a classic rock song.
Yeah.
And it's in the style of the Rolling Stones.
It's got like too many strings involved. And so they're using the cool puns, like he's going to be railroaded and now you must use your weight to rip away your lying tongue. So that's where the tongue comes into play. And so he doesn't get very much time. He's only given like 30 seconds to like jump off this step stool and rip his tongue out.
Yeah. It didn't seem like it was a winnable trap.
It didn't.
No.
And he almost does it. And right just as he jumps off the step stool and rips out his tongue, train comes and smashes him into oblivion.
We get some chunky gore.
Cut to one of my favorite post-opening openers. We have Chris Rock now in a hotel room and he has a jumpsuit on and there are 5 other dudes or something in the hotel room also with jumpsuits on. They're getting ready for some sort of heist in this hotel. They're having this fun little banter about Forrest Gump. They rob these drug dealers. They go into the garage and just as they're about to make their getaway, there's a whole army of policemen out there ready to bust them. And they're like, Zeke, Detective Zeke Banks, and busted. Chris Rock was undercover the whole time going rogue.
Yeah.
Which is very in line with his character.
And my initial thought was like, all right, we're getting comedy right off the bat. This is a totally different tone than the other Saw movies.
Yeah, it's not somber and dark. It immediately has that little comedy flair to it. And you had the feeling that Chris Rock was probably just improvising his whole bit about Forrest Gump. Just from these first 2 openers, or at least the opener with Chris Rock, I was really enjoying it. Before we get too much into plot points, I want to go over some of our characters. We have Chris Rock, who plays Detective Zeke Banks, our rogue detective in the police department, because he's the only one that he can trust.
He drives a cool car. He doesn't have a partner. Classic.
He's kind of like Serpico.
The whole department is full of crooked cops.
Yeah, and no one will back him up. He gets yelled at by the chief of police, and she's like, if your dad wasn't Chief Detective Banks or something, then blah, blah,
Chief
blah.
Detective Banks or something.
Anyway, the point is that
I don't know your dad's name, but if he wasn't who he was.
If your dad wasn't Samuel L. Jackson,
there
then
you go.
you'd be out of here.
And your little speech about Forrest Gump would have been about a Royale with cheese. And we're watching Blue Streak or Rush Hour or something like that, right?
We're watching 48 Hours Later.
48 Hours Later?
Another 40.
I don't believe that you saw a movie called 48 Hours Later.
I don't believe that exists. No, yeah, I did not. He finds out that he has to have a partner now. That's his punishment. He gets the rookie cop, William, who's this kind of babe in the woods. He's like, hey, how do you take your coffee? Chris Rock's like, alone. Classic. We have some other cops in the department. Fitch is our classic Weasley cop.
Yeah, they're just like sweaty and he looks disgruntled.
He obviously is not wanting to back up Zeke at all. We have our stoic cop, O'Brien, who says very few words. He just says, I'm good, chief. That's all we get out of him. We have a couple other cops around. Oh, we have someone named like Dre or Drury, Drew.
Something like that.
Someone named Drew. Basically, no one likes Zeke. So he gets his new partner, William, and they are called to a crime scene. That's where they discover Detective Boswick's remains.
And they get to know each other a little bit on the way over.
Yeah, they do. William, he's young and married and happy, has a little kid named Charlie.
And Zeke, he's the opposite. He's going through a divorce. He's jaded.
Yeah.
He hates people.
He's like, oh, your wife likes Pilates? Watch out. My wife slept with her Pilates instructor. Something like that. Pilates is code for I'm having an affair. Anyway, they're the odd couple for sure. Zeke gets a little Etsy package, a little mint green box with a jute twine wrapped around it. And inside is this nasty little hard drive.
Yeah, I like the contrast of the nice outer green box that's carefully wrapped in twine with the dirty thumb drive that's covered in flesh and just like crusty blood.
Yeah, I'm very shoddily scratched into it. It says, play me. So nice juxtaposition, villain, whoever you are. And so, of course, he does. He plays the little video clip. Turns out it is Detective Boswick, who was, of course, Zeke's only friend in the department.
Darn. He's going to have to make a new friend in William.
Good thing William's there. Exactly.
Yeah.
Zeke shows up at Boswick's widow, Kara's house. Mm-hmm. He's like, hey, Kara, I'm so sorry for your loss. And then Zeke's ex-wife, Lisa, is there. And then William pops around the corner. He's like, hey, I'm William.
More comedy.
Chris Rock's like, stop. No, talking. Comedy. Funny.
John Kramer would be rolling in his grave.
He's like, there's no comedy allowed in Saw movies. So Zeke goes back to his apartment and his door is open. Who's there? Daddy Banks.
Holding a gun.
Holding a gun.
But Zeke is also holding a gun. This is how they greet each other.
They're like, hey, Dad. Oh, hey. Hey, son.
He's like, what are you doing? I could have killed you. And he's like, I have the gun. He's like, no, I could have killed you.
Oh,
he also has a gun.
Yeah.
Because Zeke's like, Dad, why won't you have dinner with me? And he's like, are you hungry? Let's go get a slice. Classic Sam Jackson way.
Yeah. But we get a little backstory here for Zeke's character. I think this is at the point where we flash back, and we know it's a flashback because Zeke looks significantly younger. And how does he look so young? A backwards hat.
That's right.
Yeah.
A la John Kramer in, which one was that? Saw 3?
Saw 2 or Saw
4?
3.
Yeah. They can reverse somebody's age
by 20 years.
At least 20 years, probably more like 30 years.
Yeah.
Just by putting a backwards cap on them.
Problem solved.
Yeah.
No need to recast. get the hat.
No AI or anything like
No.
that. Yeah. The Irishman, Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, they should have just put them both in backwards
They just
hats.
needed backwards hats.
They need all that
I
AI face modeling.
Wasted too much money on that. In this little flashback with the backwards hat, we find out that Zeke ratted out, I think, one of his partners and said that, like, oh, he shot a witness who was unarmed. That got that cop put away in prison. And the rest of the department no longer wanted to back up Zeke. So Daddy Banks is like, oh man, why wouldn't you have to be loyal. You have to just play the game. And Zeke's like, no, I'm not going to back up crooked cops. I have morals. And Daddy Banks is like, you and your morals.
It's good to have morals in a Saw movie.
Yeah, I know. Definitely in a Saw movie. And so the chief of the department's like, don't worry, Daddy Banks. We can fix this. We always do.
Yeah.
Interesting.
A lot in the typical Saw fashion, they pretty much spell out what's going to happen with these little lines throughout the movie. So because we were astutely watching, we are reading into these lines. They might surface up later in our predictions.
They might not. Who knows?
Yeah.
So back at the precinct in real time, the whole department, they're studying all the information. Zeke is taking lead on the case because it was his best friend. They're looking at the information like, oh man, what are we looking at? Who knows? And later we cut to Detective Fitch, who's the nasty cop. He ends up getting captured and he is our next victim. They get another little Etsy box that has some fingers in it. And it is Detective Fitch's fingers. We
also get his badge.
And his badge, I guess, yeah. So
makes it really easy to identify who's who.
Yeah, this Jigsaw copycat is being very detailed. I appreciate that. Zeke sees these fingers of Fitch. He flashes back to the time when Fitch did not back him up. And there's a showdown going on, and Zeke is screaming on his walkie-talkie. He's like, I need backup. I need backup. Cut to Fitch. He's like, I'm not helping that guy out. We hear gunshots. Zeke is shot. And of course, it's Fitch's fault because he was closest to the scene and neglected to go support his friend.
His coworker.
Yeah, he did not go.
Someone else who was on the force.
Then Daddy Banks shows up and was like, my son called for backup 8 times.
He's like, who do I gotta shoot around here to get some answers?
Yeah.
That's not what he said. But.
Something like that. And then he looks at Fitch because Fitch looks very guilty. He's like, it was you, Fitch. I'm going to put a bullet in you. Very unhinged.
Yes.
Beats Fitch up. And then we get another flashback, kind of like immediately after this flashback, we get a flashback to how Fitch died or how Fitch lost his fingers.
Oh, yeah. The timeline's starting to get a little jumpy.
A little murky, true to the Saw franchise. So no disappointment there.
It's like a Christopher Nolan film. We don't know what the timeline is like.
We don't know.
So we have our next Saw trap. It is a big tank of water that is connected to some copper wires that are rigged up with electricity. And then there's some sort of gear, like a meat grinder that has these chains and steel finger traps. I don't know how I feel about this Saw trap, but it's kind of rudimentary, but it's also like kind of complicated.
I don't think it was rudimentary at all. It was very complex.
Yeah.
So this is a copycat. Like, how did this copycat go from a tongue and a basic vice and a step stool to this great feat in engineering prowess? How did he do this? He really upped his game.
Yeah,
or she.
Fitch is in this like finger trap of death. And has to also bite down on his tongue. He has
to bite down on a clamp to get the gears going and pull his fingers off slowly. And if he doesn't pull all his fingers off, then he can't hop out of the tub.
And then he'll be electrocuted.
Right. He just barely pulls all his fingers off, but doesn't have enough time to jump out of the tub before the water rises and electrocutes him.
Another trap that seems like it's unbeatable.
Yeah. I mean, Fitch really wasted no time in biting down on this clamp. He paused momentarily for like seconds. And I guess those were the seconds needed to hop out of the tub. But really, this Jigsaw was leaving no room for second guessing. He dies because he shot some kid for flipping him off. So now he doesn't get to have fingers anymore.
Completely unhinged. Yeah, because he's trigger happy. So
He's
he
trigger happy.
can't put his finger on the trigger anymore because of how trigger happy he is.
He's too trigger happy. Yeah.
Shooting innocent
He also
people.
can't flip people off anymore or point.
He can't do anything anymore. He's dead.
Well, he's dead. But had he survived the trap, he would not have been able to point or wear a wedding ring. Let's see here. So Fidge is dead.
They're just chasing clues at this point. They're going from the next clue to the next clue. They're trying to find Barry, I think.
Benny.
Benny, who is a meth head.
He was like the Uncle Sam pickpocketer.
Yeah, so they connected Benny, and I think Fitch went to Benny's hideout and then found another pig head.
That's where he got captured. Yeah.
That's where he got captured. Didn't find a body, so we don't know if this Benny character is still alive or dead.
So that's when Zeke decides to go undercover again. And
it's like impromptu undercover.
Another scene with a lot of humor that I love, where it's like an aerial shot of Zeke shouting up to the drug dealer's window, who's like, I don't know, 5 floors up. He's like, hey, it's my lady's anniversary. I want to get some drugs. Here's an iPad that I can give you. You can get Uber Eats on it.
A very Chris Rock scene.
Yeah. I feel like the unsung star of that scene is his quote unquote fake girlfriend, or his fake girlfriend, who I think
his meth user girlfriend.
She is yes-anding everything that he's saying. She's nodding. She's like, yeah, we're going to go on a date. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And she's like clapping. I'm like, good for her. She really put her all into that fake relationship.
I bet you she is a classically trained actress.
Yes.
And she's just trying to make her way through Hollywood and gets cast as a meth head.
Yeah. She's played Queen Gertrude.
So he's doing this whole ruse to kind of do this another bust, and an unwarranted bust, non by the book, you know, shake them up, kind of shoot first, ask questions later.
And William, the rookie William even says like, oh, do we need a warrant? And Zeke's like, nah.
So there's like a bucket that drops down from a window. You're supposed to put the cash in it, and then you get the drugs.
And you get the drugs.
So he tricks him. He's trying to put the iPad in there, but the guy's like, I don't need an iPad. Give me some money. So he puts something that looks like a wad of cash. It's like some brick or something like that.
It's a blue dye pack. The bucket goes up to the drug dealer's floor. He looks inside the bucket, and the blue dye pack goes off in his face, blinding him.
That's when they make their bust, and there's a little bit of a shootout.
Yeah, and even though he can't see anything, he's still wielding his machine gun blindly. And at that point, I'm like,
it's like a Mac 10. It's like one of those gangster guns.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm pretty sure he would have caught a few of those bullets would have caught William and Zeke.
Nah,
but now they're good.
It's also another reference to Pulp Fiction. It's divine intervention.
Ah, so this movie heavily inspired by Pulp Fiction.
I think it was written by Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, he's like, Quentin did this in the 90s and it worked. So
he showed up on set and he's like, no, fuck this. We're gonna do a rewrite here. This is what we're gonna do.
He's like, you want me in this movie? I have some ideas.
Yeah. But this is at about the point where we stopped because our alarm went off for the halfway point.
Yeah.
They have pinned down the drug dealer.
And his bones are popping out of his shin.
So we are about to get some big nuggets coming up, and we are going to find out who the killer is. We're going to go for the classic Saw twists and turns, all that to come in the second half.
Yeah. With the Saw movies, when they would come out, we would see them every Halloween just because at that time it seemed like it was the only horror movie that was coming out around Halloween.
Yeah.
It's not like today in like the past few years where there have been quite a few horror movies. It's kind of like we're having like a horror renaissance right now, which is nice. But around this time, it was like you got one horror movie in October. And so this was the one that we would go see. And I wasn't super excited about any of them, really.
This is like the heyday of the whole torture porn era. The Saw franchise, I feel, really shifted horror movies into that realm, which is odd because the first one is so good and clever, but it did focus a lot on this sort of just like intense torture and violence. But it wasn't even about that. And then the second one really took it to this sort of cartoony, over the top sort of like elaborate traps and kind of a whodunit kind
like how much can we make you squirm?
From there, other movie franchises, horror franchises just took that idea. So then we had like Touristas and, the whole Eli Roth thing, all of that stuff. It was a little bit of a dark era for horror movies.
I wasn't so much into the squirmy horror. The horror made just to make you go like, ooh, should I look away? Like at what point can I look away? And then like everything came to a head with Human Centipede. I'm like, oh, why?
But this one, I think the first thing that kind of stuck out to me in the first half was that it's completely tonally different from the rest of the Saw franchise. And maybe that's why you're enjoying it so much. It kind of comes off a little bit as like a Rush Hour
/ Pulp Fiction with hints of Guy Ritchie and mostly Rush Hour, but
and combine that with a horror movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's why I am enjoying it, because they're actually taking the time to write in moments of humor. And these movies can be so dark that you are just grasping at anything that's remotely funny to break up the darkness. I'm enjoying that the filmmakers gave us that this time.
I would say that I appreciate what they're doing, and like it's a spin-off, right? It says
in the very beginning, it says it's from the book of Saw. So it's like one of those chapters at the very end of the book, maybe.
It's, to me, that just means that this is a spin-off. So this movie exists in the world in which John Kramer and the Jigsaw Killer had existed.
Yeah.
And because there is some sort of copycat killer, then we can look back on those movies and it's connected in that way. But it's really a detective story, kind of like a
like a really bloody film noir.
Yeah, it'd be like Seven or Rush Hour. Basically, like the film structure is there's something that happened and this cop is going from clue to clue, leading to eventually catch the killer. We're gonna have some big reveal in the end.
So with that said, should we get into our predictions?
Yes, I'm very excited for predictions today. I feel like my predictions are really good.
Tony's pretty amped about his predictions. Now I'm kind of nervous. I wasn't as confident in mine. Maybe a couple of them.
Well, you told me that you were feeling pretty good about your predictions.
I know, but you said it first, so I feel like I had to.
I mean, who knows? We're always so wrong in these predictions, but they are fun because it's like our own little rewrite of the movie.
And then when it doesn't happen, sometimes I am a little disappointed. I'm like,
sometimes our predictions are better versions of the movie than actually what happens in the second half of the movie.
Take a note, writers.
Hire us, please.
We're available.
Yeah.
All right. Well, do you want to go first then, since you're feeling pretty good about
I'll start it off. Yeah. So my 5 predictions for the second half of Spiral. Prediction number 1, Dre, we're not sure what this detective's name is, but whoever that detective is will die in a saw trap that is attached to his eyes because he turned a blind eye
towards... That's very symbolic. I love that.
Towards Zeke. So what we know from the Saw series, from being semi-Saw fans, or at least like we've watched the Saw movies, so I don't know if that makes us fans or not. But we know that the Jigsaw Killer is always focused on some sort of moral lesson teaching in the most harsh and brutal way.
Yeah.
You're not going to escape with all of your limbs, but you could possibly escape with your life. Most don't. I think only maybe 2 characters have ever survived a saw trap.
Amanda Strom,
yes, but then eventually I think...
eventually some of them that initially escaped do die.
But that's the premise of the saw trap is the people who are in these traps are not good people and they have to confront the horrible things they've done in their past, like smoking. I'm looking at you, janitor so-and-so.
Yeah, how dare you?
Janitor from Saw 6.
How dare you try to relax after a hard, grueling day of cleaning?
Okay, so that's my prediction for number 1. Prediction number 2. We find out that Boz Lieutenant Boz was cheating with Zeke's wife. And the reason I went here is because I have a feeling that all of the people who are going to be involved in the saw traps are related to that one flashback where Zeke was shot and everybody had their backs turned. And he seems to think that Boz is his friend. But I have a feeling that because he's mentioned little things about his wife cheating and also Boz being a liar, that's why he was in the tongue trap.
Yeah.
That maybe there was some indiscretion with his wife that will be something that causes Zeke to kind of reflect on like who is his friend. He has no friends. He has nobody.
And that's interesting because Samuel L. Jackson even said, this isn't about you, but that kind of makes it about him.
Yes.
So it is about him.
Yes. I know from watching Saw movies that when at the end of the movie, we're going to get that da-da-dun, da-da-dun,
That's a good song.
And we are going to flash back to lines that they said in the movie.
It's not about you.
Exactly. That tell us. So I when I was watching, I was trying to be keen for these lines that could have had double meanings.
Yeah.
And that could have revealed exactly the motives or who the killers were.
Yeah.
So that's what I was looking for.
Scenes that will look good in a montage.
Exactly. Yeah. So that is influencing my predictions. All right. Prediction 3. Zeke and some of the other cops, Krause, O'Brien, and William, the rookie, will be in the final saw trap. So it's going to be a multi-person saw trap where Zeke has to decide not everything is about him and choose to get hurt in some way to stop the trap. Now, if that actually happens, if he does get hurt and stop the trap, I don't know. I didn't say that, but I think this is going to be the setup for the final saw trap. All right. So that, and mine are kind of like connected here. So number 4, the man who shot Zeke went on to kill someone related to Detective Williams.
Oh.
And I think once I say that, you can probably guess what my whopper is going to be. So we never saw this guy who had a very interesting look. He kind of looked like that one actor who was in The Hills Have Eyes.
Oh, yeah.
He had this very interesting look.
Very pronounced eyeballs.
We never see him arrested or shot or anything, or at least I don't think. I can't remember. So I'm going to assume that he escaped and then caused some harm upon somebody else. And that's the motive for the Jigsaw copycat killer. Yeah. Whenever I write the predictions at the end, I'm like, wait, what? That logic doesn't hold up. But
I like it.
Sounds good in the moment. My number 5 prediction is that Detective Williams, Detective Betts, and Chief Lady, who I don't know if we've ever got her name, but I'm just going to call her Chief Lady, are in cahoots. Then they're trying to fix the force. And the reason I had this prediction was based off of 2 scenes. So there's one scene where Detective Betts and the Chief Lady, it's that one flashback scene where he's like, I should have never let my son join the force. It seemed like there was more to their relationship there. They were like, we always fix this. We always...
I was like, are they married? Is she his mom?
Yeah, it seemed like something else was going on there. But then there was a line that Detective Williams said, and this was really the thing that got me on the Detective Williams train, was he said, I've been dreaming about this since I was 12. When the incident happened, when Zeke got shot, was 12 years ago. So if this guy's kind of in his early 20s or
24
something like that,
maybe?
If he's 24, then he was probably 12 when something happened to him, aka like his one of his family members getting shot. And he also said right after that, your dad's the reason for all of this, the reason I wanted to do this. And you're supposed to think this is his reason for wanting to join the force, but I took it more literally. This is the reason why he is setting up these saw traps. You're supposed to be thinking he's dreaming about solving a case since he was 12, but he was dreaming about killing the people who wronged his family member since he was 12. So he seems innocent, but I have a feeling that the twist is going to be that he is not.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Here are my 5 predictions. Number 1.
Are you going to mention something about ghosts?
They're all ghosts.
The ghost of John Kramer is going to show up in chains and say, "This is your life."
It's a supernatural Christmas story.
Christmas Carol, Saw style.
Number 1, Samuel L. Jackson will have more clues pointing to him that he is Jigsaw, but he's going to be a red herring.
Oh, okay. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll get some more clues that, the unhinged former chief or whatever is the one doing this to protect his son because he's very possessive. That's not the word.
Protective.
Protective. Yeah. He's very protective of his son. So it'll be like, oh man, he's unhinged. He's the one doing this, trying to clean up the force, but it's going to be a red herring. Number 2, Chief Lady will be in a saw trap.
Oh.
Where she has to stab out her eyes because she's accused of turning a blind eye.
Wow.
So your prediction for Dre or Droy, that was my same prediction for the Chief Lady. That's why I gasped and I was trying not to let on that was very close to my prediction.
Well, that's good to know because if the scene happens where someone has like a saw trap attached to their eyes or something like that, or that raises the probability of it coming true.
Yeah.
So one of us will get a point.
One of us will. And because that one scene, when she talks to Chief Best, she's like, we fix this. We always do. I feel like that's hinting at her covering things up.
Okay. So they're shady. Okay.
Yeah. I think it's like the whole force is shady except for Zeke. Yeah.
Potato agrees.
Yeah. So she's like, we'll fix this. We always do. So she's going to have to stab out her eyes. I'm kind of thinking that she will do it and live.
Oh, okay.
So I'm thinking that she might be the one that gets to survive the saw trap, momentarily at least, by stabbing out her eyes. I think she'll actually do it. And it might also be funny that like if she gets to actually be a quote unquote witness, even though she's blind now. Yeah.
Potato likes your prediction.
Thanks, Potato. Number 3, for one of the final traps, or perhaps the final trap, Zeke Banks will have to choose between saving his dad or someone else.
Oh.
And
like
so
Sophie's Choice.
Yeah, it's going to be like, well, your dad is technically guilty of covering up stuff, but he's your dad. So are you going to choose between your dad or somebody else who might be innocent?
Actually, I love this prediction because before he had to decide to turn somebody in on the force, but it's like, are you going to turn in your dad? That's a moral quandary.
Quandary.
Yeah. All right. I like that one.
Yeah.
That is a good one. Right there.
Because I think because the dad was upset that Zeke had a moral code and didn't stand by the other cops to protect himself. And so I feel like that shows that dad is kind of shady. So it's like, okay, are you going to save your shady dad because he's related to you? Or are you going to save somebody else who's maybe innocent? Maybe it's going to be like between his dad or William, the partner. And it's going to be like, oh, well, William's technically innocent, but he's your partner that you just met. So you're going to save him or you're going to save your dad? 4, Banks will be in a trap and will have to work with this is where my predictions kind of contradict one another. So he'll be in another trap where he has to work with his fellow cops as a team in order to get out, because they keep hinting at how he doesn't work as a team. He's not a team player. So he'll have to work with somebody to get out of this particular trap. And I think he'll fail. And then number 5 is William is Jigsaw / the copycat.
Oh my goodness. So this seems like right now he's the prime suspect.
He is our prime suspect, both of ours. Yeah. So it's going to turn out that Emma and Charlie, his wife and kid, actually died by cops in that same department. And there was no justice. There was a cover up by everybody on the department. Boz lied on the stand, and Chief Lady turned a blind eye, and all this stuff.
Ooh, actually, that's a really good prediction. Your predictions make me rethink my whole it's like this cahoots conspiracy thing. But I think the William thing, I think that just if you watch the movie closely and you're trying to predict, I think you can pull out enough nuggets to where I feel fairly confident that that's the direction they're going to go.
And they've been pretty subtle with it. Like when they were at the precinct looking at all the evidence and it was late and William had to call somebody and his phone was conveniently dead. And he was like, oh, my phone's dead. Can I borrow yours? So
yeah, I don't trust that. That's shady behavior.
Super shady. Yeah. So he borrowed Zeke's phone. I don't know, to find Chief Betts' contact information.
He's programming something into his phone. He's setting him up.
Yeah.
Anytime a character goes off screen with your phone, that's shady.
Yeah.
I think that's an awesome prediction. It makes me think about my prediction and this whole like convoluted, like everyone's in cahoots thing. Probably not true, but that's all right. It sounded good in my head at the time.
It could be. You never know.
I feel like if you combine both of our predictions, we have some really solid predictions this time.
I think so too. I think all of our predictions probably at least crossed the drawing board floor, the writing room floor.
If we were in the writer's room during the making of Spiral, I think that these ideas would have been pitched.
All of these scenarios were pitched. So hire us next time.
Yeah, exactly. Saw 11.
Yeah. So this is not one of my predictions, but do you think that Samuel L. Jackson and Chris Rock's characters will live?
I want to say yes.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because I feel like this movie is different than the other Saw movies. It's less brutal. It's more of a detective story. And so I feel like they will live in the end.
I thought they'll both die. Yeah, I kind of think they'll both die because I think it was a long shot that they even got Samuel L. Jackson and Chris Rock to sign on to this project in the first place. And they're probably like, on one condition, you kill us off.
So we're not doing a sequel.
Yeah, we refuse to do a sequel. Yeah.
All right. Well, it sounds like Potato is ready to watch the second half. I'm excited to get into it. I think that a lot of our predictions are going to be correct. I'm very hopeful.
Yeah, I'm excited too.
All right. We will return in a little bit. We're going to watch the second half of Spiral.
Whoever did this has another motive. They're targeting cops.
This shit's gonna go sideways fast.
Someone's out there pulling all the strings.
You wanna play games, motherfucker?
Welcome back. We just finished the second half of Spiral.
Really excited to get into predictions on this one. We're going to change things up a little bit. We're going to start with the predictions.
Yeah. So usually with these gut reactions, we go over or we review the second half of the movie. We're going to skip that. We're just going to go straight into predictions.
And in our predictions, we will cover what has gone on in the second half. So it's just going to come naturally.
Yeah, for the most part.
I started with predictions before, so you can go first with your prediction results.
Thank you. My first prediction was that Samuel L. Jackson's character will have more clues pointing towards him as being the killer, the Jigsaw copycat. Yeah. But it will be a red herring.
That is a point.
That's a point.
I think that is pretty solidly a point.
Yeah.
So we had, accusations, and some of them were towards Zeke and some of them were towards his dad.
Were there any towards Zeke?
Yeah, because it was just kind of like a fleeting one, or one of the cops was like, "You have reason to hate cops."
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then at one point we do meet Pete, the former cop who Zeke ratted out. And we meet him at the church and he's like running like AA meetings.
He's reformed. He lives in the church basement and he's running AA meetings.
Yeah.
He was in prison for several years. I think it was like 9 or 11 years. I don't know. Something
He was
like
in
that.
prison for 9 years.
Yeah.
And now he's been sober for 18 months.
But they pay him a visit because he is a possible suspect because they're trying to figure out who might be targeting old cops. And then they're like, well, this seems personal.
Yeah, this guy has motive. So we get to meet that guy. So he's a very fleeting red herring. And then they go more towards Daddy Banks.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he is ultimately a red herring. It's not him.
So you got a point there.
Yeah, I got a point.
Very good. Very
Thank you. Number 2, I said that the chief lady, Angie, will be in a trap. And I said maybe she will have to stab out her eyes due to cover-ups and looking the other way. So kind of close. So she did actually get in a trap. She received a text message from Daddy Banks, allegedly.
Yes.
That said, I have a hunch. Go check the cold case files in the basement by yourself. She did not have to stab out her eyes, but we did get to see her in this trap where she is tied to this gurney-like thing, and she presses the little microphone or the little recorder, and it does say that you have covered things up, and she has literally a cover-up over her face.
Yeah. She has like a linen cloth, like cheesecloth over her eyes and her face.
Over her entire face. And the recorder says, I'm going to pour boiling hot wax onto your face unless you sever your spinal column.
So brutal.
With this sharp blade that's behind your neck. So you have to slam down hard enough on this sharp blade to sever your spinal column in order to get this wax to stop.
And this is happening in the evidence room of the basement
Of this police station.
Police station. So, yeah, I mean, the whole time that even in the first half, we had this hunch that the killer is somebody within the force. It seems blatantly obvious that people with access to the evidence room or access to security footage, they probably work in the force.
Yeah, I'm just like, okay, how did this fake jigsaw have time to rig up this pipe full of boiling wax and this metal gurney unbeknownst to the entire force? Does no one ever go into the cold case locker in the basement?
I don't know. They had to lug it in there, delete the security footage. Like there's a lot of parameters here that just didn't really make sense.
Yeah.
But the in my opinion, this was probably the most brutal and therefore my favorite of the traps.
That was
of
your
the-
favored? Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I think so. Well, when I was thinking about it, I mean, I guess, I don't know. It's between that one and
The fingers?
the one at the end.
When I looked at this trap, I always look at the traps to see, okay, how solvable is it? And if it doesn't seem fair, I'm not on board.
Well, that's kind of an overall theme of the traps in this film is none of them are really fair. They're all kind of like
The tongue one was manageable. He could have done that.
just jump off the thing and then move out of the way before the
I mean, I don't think he tried hard enough to bite his tongue off.
yeah. Well, he had 3 minutes. So it's like
Yeah.
you're going to panic for the first
I know.
minute and a half. And now you have a minute and a half to get out of the way.
No, really not fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, severing your spinal column. Okay, the first guy was just going to lose his tongue. She's going to be paralyzed from the neck down.
Yeah.
Not fair.
So
I almost
brutal.
would be like, you know what? Fine, pour hot wax on my face.
That's just like, oh man.
So is that a point? I mean, I had the
That's
metaphor.
like 3/4 of a point.
3/4?
Yeah, because you had that she was in a saw trap and you had the metaphor correct.
Yeah.
But
She
she
did not
didn't
have
have to
Stab her eyes.
and I think you said that she was going to survive the trap.
I did write bonus points if she survives or she doesn't and lives.
You're giving yourself extra credit on these?
I put bonus.
Bonus. I didn't write any bonus points on my predictions.
Oh.
That's cheating.
Nuh-uh. I wasn't going to give myself any points for the bonus.
I guess that'd just be like bonus kudos.
Yeah, like bonus kudos.
Okay. Very good prediction.
Thank you.
Masterful. You are a saw master. Maybe better than Jigsaw himself.
Number 3, for one of the final traps, Banks, aka Chris Rock, will have to choose between saving Dad or other.
That's like actually a really good prediction as well.
Yeah?
Dad was in the final trap. Chris Rock, he is following the trail of all of the killings. Dad, meanwhile, like, where has he been? We kind of catch up with him later, and he's in an old soap factory. What was it?
Yeah, the old bread factory, I think.
Some sort of
Soap
old
factory, bread factory.
I don't know.
Lots of factories in this town.
Yeah. Some abandoned warehouse.
They're all old. Yeah.
Where he's lured over by his son,
a text from his son,
which we picked up on earlier.
Yeah, we get the flashback of William borrowing Chris Rock's phone, and sure enough, he used that phone to text Dad and say, "Hey, meet me at the soap factory. I got a clue or ideas and stuff." And
yeah, that's exactly how he said it.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a clue or ideas and stuff.
Yeah, and the dad's like, "You know what, son? I believe you. I'm coming." And he does.
Yeah.
Then he's trapped. All right. So point?
Yeah, that's a point.
Right.
That's a point. The other person who he potentially had to save was William, who ended up being the killer. Sorry, spoiler.
Yeah. So in parentheses, for no points for this, I did say Dad dies.
Oh,
and Dad
bonus
does
kudos.
Die. Bonus kudos, but no point. Okay. So number 4, Banks will be in a trap and will have to work with fellow cops as a team to get out, and he will fail. No points.
Nope. Yeah. Almost. He was sort of in some lame, lackluster throwback to the first Saw trap.
Yes.
Where he's just in handcuffs.
That was cool. So when he ends up at this factory, and I forgot. He got chloroformed with that bed sheet again.
Everyone's getting chloroformed.
Everyone got chloroformed
by the pig mask.
The pig mask. And I forgot where he was when he got chloroformed.
He was on his way to the next clue.
And he has his wrist handcuffed to a pipe. And there's an old bone saw.
Paying homage to the original Jigsaw trap.
Yeah, Carrie Elwes.
Unless you count the prequel as the first trap, but that was like a multi-million-dollar trap that involved like 12 people and multiple buildings.
Yeah, and then he downgraded.
That connected every single room.
And then he downgraded to a bone saw. He's like, this is too much.
And I think gas, like some gas or something like that.
There are a lot of like devices that were rigged and wired and whirring, and this was just a regular old handcuff and a bone saw. I liked it. And Chris Rock Zeke immediately picked up the bone saw and looked at it, and I thought he was just gonna go for it and saw his hand off. And I was like, that would be refreshing if someone just did it.
I remember saying when we were watching it, I was like, well, at least it's just attached to his hand. He doesn't have to saw through his own leg. People in movies and TVs are losing hands and limbs all the time.
That's true.
They just wrap it up with their belt, cauterize the wound, and go about their day.
So Banks did not have to prove that he could work as part of a team. No point. And then my last one, William is Jigsaw / the copycat.
Booyah.
Mm-hmm.
Feel like that one was fairly obvious.
Yeah.
I posed the question to those listening. Did you get that William was the killer?
Yeah. Did you guys when you first watched it or when you played along today? If you did, cool. All right. I also did add a little asterisk that said Emma and Charlie died by cops in that department. There was no justice and there was a cover up.
Well, I mean, it was somebody who was related to him.
Technically, Charlie did die because Charlie was his dad.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know what technically by name.
Yeah, Charlie was his dad.
Okay.
And Charlie did die by the cops.
Is this all part of... I'm confused as to what's part of the prediction.
I have a
what's
whole
part
paragraph.
of the bonus asterisk. If I get this is a double kudo. I'm just going to ignore all of the second half of your paragraph of prediction, which, very interesting prediction. And I'm going to give you the point for the William is the Jigsaw killer.
Okay, thank you.
And then I didn't hear anything you said after that.
And yeah, they do in the little montage at the end, they do show William doing the little flashback thing where when he was on the phone with Zeke? And he's like, oh, I'm at home because we're sleep training Charlie. And then they show his computer screen. He's playing audio of a fake baby crying. I knew it.
Yep. You called that.
Yeah. So he's like, there's no Charlie. I have no son. And then it turns out that when he was little, he saw his father named Charlie get shot by a cop, Pete.
So Pete, the cop who shot Charlie, William's dad, was holding a photograph and he was saying, are you sure you can ID this cop? And then when the guy's like, yeah, I can. Then he pulled out the gun and shot him. I could have sworn, I was like, I know that the photo of that cop is going to be Captain Banks.
Yeah, Samuel L. Jackson.
But they never actually showed who that cop was.
Yeah, but I had a feeling too that it was going to be Captain Banks. And I felt like that was just an editing flaw. I felt like they wanted to like have another flashback later on and be like, it was Captain Banks. He was the dirtiest of them all.
Because that, I think, would have also risen the stakes of the last Saw trap.
Yeah.
Where it was like they were protecting your dad. We don't know exactly what cop it was. They just kind of blamed it on like, it was wild back then. We were acting under
Article 8.
Article 8, where cops can be renegades and take justice into their own hands.
Yeah.
Very good predictions.
Thank you.
What was that? 4 points?
No, it was like 3 3/4.
3 3/4. That actually might be a high score ever.
Ever?
I mean, I don't remember ever scoring more than like 2.5 points.
I could have sworn you got like 4 points one time.
Maybe. I'll have to go back and
you were like a pro at one of them.
I can't remember.
Well, 3 3/4.
Very good. Good job. Good job. You are a Saw expert.
Yep. Watch out. What? Too ominous?
No, it's just like that's your reaction. It's like, watch out.
Yeah. If I'm a Saw expert, watch out. It's scary.
Oh, I see. It's more of like a threat.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. I'm
like you should be scared because I'm so good at Saw.
You have been collecting pig heads.
I have. No, I haven't.
All right. My predictions. Number 1, a character who I thought was named Droy. And you were saying it was maybe Dre. Actually, the character's name was Detective Drury. And I had that Detective Drury will die in a saw trap that is attached to his eyes for turning a blind eye. While I had the correct thinking in the turning the blind eye portion, it was actually Captain Angie Garza who suffered that fate. So no points for that one.
I'll give you a quarter.
A quarter? Nah, no points for that. My number 2 prediction was that we find out that Boz was cheating with Zeke's wife. Maybe this one was more of my wild card prediction. Yeah. I was trying to think of reasons that would maybe raise the stakes for Zeke's character.
We never saw Lisa or Kara again.
Nope, they actually just ditched a lot of characters. We didn't see Drury again.
We never saw Drury. Terrible name, by the way. We never saw Drury again. And we never saw Krause again, really. Fitch's partner.
We did see O'Brien quite a bit. He had a lot of really... he had like a whole character arc where he went from this stoic, quiet cop to now he's like taking charge. And
he was angry.
Yeah.
He had 2 blow-up moments where he's just shouting. I'm like, whoa, dude. Back it up a little bit.
That was pretty good. My number 3 prediction was that Zeke and some of the other cops, aka Krause, O'Brien, and William, will be in the final trap where Zeke has to decide not everything is about him and choose to get hurt to stop the game.
You know what I liked about that prediction is that I thought it would allow them to bring back that circular trap, that kids merry-go-round thing, where you have like the 5 or 6 people attached to this merry-go-round. Yeah, that happened in that Saw 6 or something, or the one with the insurance broker, the insurance guy. I think that one had the merry-go-round. I liked that one. I thought it was a cool trap. And I thought that could have come back with that scenario, with that prediction.
In retrospect, this is also like not a great prediction. I was feeling really good about my predictions when I was making them. I was like, oh yeah, I figured this movie out. Turns out that nope, they were no good. Okay. That's number 4. The man who shot Zeke went on to kill someone related to Williams. This I thought was for sure going to happen because we never saw the person who shot Zeke getting arrested or getting killed or anything.
Someone probably tackled him in the wings.
Yeah, I don't know,
Off
but
screen.
that's what I thought the reason for the justice being served was because everybody turned a blind eye and then they let this criminal escape and then, that kind of thing. Didn't happen. It actually turned out that it was just a cop shooting a witness.
Yeah.
Trying to protect people in the force. Crooked cops.
Crooked Pete, and he just went to jail for 9 years.
My number 5 prediction, which was my whopper, was that Williams, I put Betts here, but Captain Banks, Chief Lady, also known as Captain Garza.
Yeah.
Are
They
in
need to
cahoots.
say names more often in the beginning.
It's kind of like when you have a friend and they're talking about their significant other a lot and they keep saying my girlfriend or my boyfriend.
And you're like, say their name because I forgot what it was.
Yeah.
Please.
So wait, hold on a second. Where in my predictions did I put that Williams trying to fix the force? Okay.
That's pretty accurate. William was trying to fix the force.
Well, okay. I'm trying to think wait, how did I not get anything correct? Because I thought I had this nailed down. But I did know, even though I didn't write it here in the predictions, I thought maybe my predictions were alluding to it. But I knew with certainty that Detective Williams was the Jigsaw killer.
You did say that in the first half, so that's a point.
But the former captain and the current captain in cahoots, that was not correct at all.
But okay, fixing the force. He said that word for word.
Yeah, maybe that's one half.
Let's.
Are you going to be nice and give me a full point? I feel like it's a pity point. Let me just take the half.
And then a quarter point for, fine, just half point.
All right. That leaves me with a whopping 1/2 of a point when I felt so confident about all of my predictions.
That's weird. I thought that.
You thought that my predictions were better than they were, but here, let's be real here. My predictions are always terrible.
That's not true. There was one episode where I swear you got 4 points. And I was like, oh, that's good.
Well, in the next gut
believe
reaction, I'm going to go back and research and figure out which movie I was able to predict with certainty because it clearly was not this one. And I thought I had it. I was so confident.
Maybe it was Only Lovers Left Alive.
Oh, maybe. But anyways, we had the sort of classic Saw twist at the end. It's just sending a slab of skin with a tattoo on it is not enough to say this is that person.
Yeah, they tried to have a redirect by sending one of those Etsy boxes to Zeke that had some skin on a doll, and the skin had William's tattoo that said Charlie.
And it's am I trying to get under your skin?
Yeah, and so Zeke is like, oh no, my poor innocent rookie partner just got skinned. And of course, as an audience member, you're thinking, well, if you don't see him die, then that could have been anyone. That could have been from a pig.
It leads them to the butcher. There's a bunch of pigs, and then there's a person who's there on a meat hook.
Completely skinned.
Yeah.
No face. So
Yeah.
well, that still doesn't prove that it's William because there's no face.
Yeah.
And it turns out it's not William. It's Benny, the drug addict.
Yeah, so we figure out Benny's fate. He was captured by William and was skinned alive.
Yeah, and William,
after having Charlie tattooed.
yeah, William said, I tattooed him.
And it was perfect. It was the perfect match.
And I was like, okay, William, you dabble in a lot of hobbies. You're really good at tattoos and skinning and making these crazy traps, which in the special features, they were saying how oh yeah, we made sure that the traps were not as good as Jigsaw's traps because Jigsaw was an engineer and William's not an engineer. And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, but those traps are still pretty good. You know what was not a good trap? Handcuffing someone to a pole and giving them a bone saw. That's believable.
The first trap was the most basic. It was just the guy on the ladder with something attached to his tongue.
Yeah. So, okay, that's believable. The finger one? No. Not even the hot wax one in the cold case basement.
The hot wax one was not believable because it's how do you get it in there?
How do you get it in there?
How do you sneak it past all these cops and security footage? I mean, it's plausible that it could happen.
And they did say, oh, somebody deleted 13 minutes of security footage. And the only person that could have done that is somebody on the force. And that's why Zeke immediately blamed Pete. I'm like, okay, come on. Pete's in rehab or Pete's at church.
But they also had Captain Bank, who had accessed that information as well.
They're like, what about your dad? That's when O'Brien has his big moment. He's like, look at your dad.
Yeah, O'Brien's big moment.
O'Brien. Some tidbits when they were thinking of Spiral and a concept for Spiral, they were thinking more along the lines of, something alluding to John Kramer. And it wasn't until Chris Rock approached, I think, one of the producers at a party and was like, hey, I would love to be a part of the next Saw. And they're like, oh man, we can get Chris Rock attached to this. And they completely changed the trajectory of the film. And Chris Rock was saying that he selfishly wanted to be a part of a crime movie, watching movies like Beverly Hills Cop or Rush Hour or 48 Hours. He's like, I never got mine. I never got to have my Rush Hour or my Beverly Hills Cop. So he told the producers and the director, and he was like, hey, I want to do this. You just write your script. Don't worry about making it funny. I will add my own quote unquote spice to it when we shoot. And I think this Saw movie does stand out in that it does have those moments of comedy, but it's not nonstop.
And the producers and everybody involved in making the film are very adamant about saying that this is not a Saw film. It exists in the Saw world, but it's really a cop film. It's not John Kramer doing this stuff, and it's not that sort of claustrophobic and dark and gritty and grimy setting. A lot of this movie takes place in the daytime. It's got a totally different vibe. Like even musically, there's more of like a hip hop style music.
Yeah. They told the composer that they did not want any of the same sounds and sound effects as in the previous Saw movies. They want it to be completely new, except for in the end when they have that iconic Saw theme song. It's the only thing they want to repeat.
And that's when you know shit's going down and you know the twist is going to be revealed.
Yep, you're going to get a montage. That's cool.
So that is really interesting that this movie really did come about because of Chris Rock.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to get involved in a Saw movie.
Yeah, he said he wanted to make a 48 Hours meets 7. And I feel like they pulled it off. Chris Rock was saying that, like, a movie like Heat, like what would happen if you just changed the lead character? What would happen if you just replaced Al Pacino with Eddie Murphy? It would still be a great movie. It would just have a different tone here and there.
Well, he was even talking about how, what if he replaced Donnie Wahlberg's character in the original Saw movies?
Yeah. He's like, I love Donnie Wahlberg and what he did. He's amazing. But he's like, I would love to have done that role also and made it my own. And they actually showed a behind the scenes moment of something that Chris Rock improvised. And it
one of your favorite moments.
One of my favorite moments. A lot of the comedy that was in there, Chris Rock did improvise. There's a moment behind the scenes where he is visiting Benny's drug dealer in the alleyway. And he's like, I am here with my lady. We're celebrating her anniversary. We want some stuff.
And
anyway,
we were praising that lady who played the meth head girlfriend.
Yeah, the junkie girlfriend.
We're like, damn, she did a good job.
She's so good. She and did everything Chris Rock said. She's like nodding and she's like patting him on the back like they're actually a couple.
And then to find out that happened on the fly and Chris Rock was just like, this scene isn't working with me and this other guy.
Yeah, and he like looked around and he's like, her.
Yeah. She's going to be in the scene.
A random extra who probably wasn't even going to get any FaceTime at all. He's just like, her.
Yeah.
She's the one.
Hope she got some vouchers for that.
Hope she got a voucher.
Hope she got into SAG because of that.
Hope she's at least SAG eligible. Whatever she wants.
I do want to ask, like, how do you feel about the final reveal of the killer as William being the killer and the final scene with Captain Banks? He's rigged up to this sort of puppet-like thing, machine device.
Like a marionette.
That's draining his blood.
Yeah.
What did you think of the final set?
Oh.
And the killer reveal?
It was okay. William himself as the killer, that was expected and that was okay. Mm-hmm. But the final trap with Samuel L. Jackson rigged up like a marionette, that was intriguing. It was confusing. And I was just like, if he just shoots William, I don't see how his dad could possibly still die from William. He was like, if you shoot me, then your dad dies. I'm like, how? It's not like you're connected to him.
To me, it seemed like the dad was going to die anyways. He had already lost a lot of blood. There were tons of vials around him, each with like halfway full of his blood.
Yeah. And so Zeke chose, instead of shooting William, he shot the spiral in the air.
William is never going to let his dad go.
He should have
just shot William.
He should have shot William.
Knowing that his dad's dead anyways.
Unless William was rigged up to that machine, and it's like, and saw, I think 4 or 3 if the doctor dies, or if Jigsaw dies and the doctor dies, it's like, okay, they both have to live in order to live. It wasn't like that, because William did not have any strings attached to him. It's not like, if he dies, if like his heart rate goes below a certain beats per minute, then
that's when we get into the masterful Jigsaw planning of everything.
Yes.
I feel like William didn't quite have the plan.
I mean, it's his first time.
Yeah, he has been planning this since he was 12. So he spent some time on it. He thought a lot of it through.
He was busy,
quite
though.
Have the, he had a job.
He was joining the police force.
He had to go through police academy training.
He had to do a lot of paperwork to get transferred to that specific department. He even said it was really hard to become Zeke's partner. I'm like, yeah, how did you do that?
And how do you fake all of his backstory? I imagine if you join the force, correct me if I'm wrong, they do a background check on you.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do a background check on your entire family. And like cousins too. Like they find out if anyone in your family has been in prison. So how did he fake all that?
So yeah, there's some flimsy writing in here.
Yeah.
And I think for me, the killer motive, I'm fine with that. Yes.
I like the motive.
I was overall okay with a lot of it, but that last trap, like what was the plan there? His dad is rigged up in this thing and then he's freed, but then there's another wire that's triggered that makes him raise a gun up towards the SWAT team. And
so there is another wire that is laced against the main entrance door. And so when the cops figure out where they are and they're trying to saw open this door, when they push it open, that wire snaps and makes Samuel L. Jackson's body rise up, and somehow a giant gun gets attached to it. And the entire police force open fires on him. So he dies.
That didn't make sense to me either. Why does the SWAT force open fire on him? He clearly looks like a victim.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like somebody whose intent is to open fire on the SWAT team.
He doesn't look like a Octoman.
No, he looks like a Weekend at Bernie's with a gun.
Maybe it's a comment on how trigger happy the SWAT teams are. I think they just wanted to have like, this is how William gets his justice. All these cops were killing citizens, and now the cops are going to get killed by cops.
And okay, William was saying that I have a foolproof plan to get out of here either way, no matter which decision you make. But his foolproof plan to get out of there was just going into the elevator. And where does he go from there? Does the SWAT team not surround the building?
Nah, I have a foolproof plan to get out of here. I have an elevator.
I would say a foolproof plan would be something like the one where he's in the casket, the clear casket.
Yes.
And
that one's so sad.
That seemed like a foolproof plan.
That was a foolproof plan, because even though that one guy was like, I'm going to kill you anyway, that actually was what he anticipated. And he was safe in the coffin. But, this was William's first rodeo.
All right. The award ceremonies. And we will start with the Golden Gut Award. Mm-hmm. Who or what gets the Golden Gut for Spiral? I'm
going to give it to Chris Rock. I would say that I appreciated everything that he brought to the movie. Mm-hmm. Especially one of my favorite scenes. And
I thought your favorite scene was where William introduced himself to Lisa.
Yeah. And then Chris Rock immediately shut him down.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I'm William. Stop.
Yeah. Just stop.
It's funny.
You're right.
I mean, several moments were over the top, but I didn't mind that. Overall, I enjoyed what Chris Rock brought to the movie.
I am going to 100% agree with you. I think that he was the driving force of the movie. He was responsible for the movie even being made.
Yeah.
So it really was his movie. It was his project.
Like they would have made a movie, but it definitely would not have been anything like what we got.
Right. And I appreciate that they tried something different. I don't think everything worked. I know that I was entertained and I enjoyed Chris Rock's performance, and he was the driving force. So I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to give him the Golden Gut. Next, we have the Best Intestines Award. Who gets the best, saddest, or most gut-wrenching death?
I'm going to give it to Chief Angie Garza. I think you liked that trap a lot more than I did. I was just like, it's so not fair. She has to sever her spinal column or get a face full of hot wax and melt it off.
So would you say it was the saddest?
It was
the most unfair?
The most unfair.
Yeah.
And therefore the saddest. I was just like, that's not fair. People can still have a normal life or a semi-normal life without a tongue or without fingers, but without the use of your body below the neck. That's unfair. Let her chop her feet off or something.
Let her chop her feet off or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal. Captain Angie Garza also got my award for the best intestines. For that same reason, I thought it was the most brutal of the deaths in the whole movie. While she was crooked, we didn't really get a lot of her character being crooked.
Honestly, if the entire force was crooked, she was the least annoying about it.
She didn't seem skeezy like the other characters.
Yeah,
did.
Fitch was just straight up bad. He was a bad person.
Yeah.
Like he would let a fellow cop get shot.
Yeah, exactly.
Next category, we have the second kidney, and this one is a new category. So for the second kidney, you get to pick which character, living or dead in the movie, would you have come back in a sequel or spinoff?
All right. So I am also giving this award to Chris Rock. Mm-hmm. We might have to change the title of the movie to Chris Rock Book of Saw, because he really was the movie. But the reason why I'm giving him the second kidney is because, for one, his character did survive. Mm-hmm. And I want to see his character in Spiral 2 Book of Saw as more of a comedy. So I want to see a genre bend.
Kind of like spiraling out.
It's just like these cop movies. So Beverly Hills Cop and 48 Hours, Lethal Weapon. They were a little more serious, and then they got a little sillier in the sequels. And by the time you get to like Lethal Weapon 4, it's just flat out
Joe
comedy.
Pesci, running around.
You got Chris Rock.
Yeah, exactly. So you want like another 48 spirals.
yeah, exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Another 48 spirals. That's exactly what I want to see.
I'm going to agree with you on this one as well, because he was my favorite person in the movie. He did live, so all the other ones that died, they would have to be like a prequel or something. Or Angie Garza, no one ever announced that she was dead. Very possibly.
She was pretty dead. I mean, he tried to resuscitate her, and there was like
maybe it worked.
Little bit of vapor that popped out of her mouth.
Maybe it worked. Maybe he did it.
He's like pounding on her chest at the end.
I thought when he was pounding on her chest to like resuscitate her, I thought she was going to come back to life, but he was going to slam her neck down onto that spike.
Oh, that would have been...
And be like, oh man, the reason why you're paralyzed is Chris Rock's fault. That would be terrible.
That would have been more like a 7 situation.
Yeah, but I would bring back Detective Banks.
I like that we're in agreement here. We're in agreement on every single award. Yes.
It's never happened. All right. The Axe. What one element or character would you cut from the film?
All right. I thought really hard about this, and this is the one element that I'm going to give the Axe this film. I'm going to give the Axe award here to the backwards hat.
No, I love the backwards
The backwards hat does not make you look younger. So please,
it's
Saw
a
franchise.
It's a callback to Jigsaw.
Just because the character's wearing a backwards hat does not give me the impression that they are a
10 years
teenager.
younger. Yeah. I know. Whenever I want to look like I'm 12. That's what I do. Backwards hat.
So that's getting the Axe for me. That's gone. That's out.
Oh man, I kind of love the backwards hat. It was fun.
Well, I love to laugh at it in a meme type of way.
It was a fun nod.
Yeah.
To John Kramer trying to be young. I would cut the whole bit at the end where William's like, I have a foolproof plan. I would have really loved to have seen his foolproof plan and not just seen him hop in an elevator. It just like the whole movie I really enjoyed up until the final reveal. And it just seemed like it was really easy to get out of. Like all you had to do is shoot William in the head.
Yeah.
I would have loved for them to have spent a little bit more time on that, fleshed it out a bit more, and made it legitimately a foolproof plan like the one between Strom and Hoffman in Saw 4, I think.
Maybe it's a testament to his character in that he is not John Kramer. He's not Jigsaw. He's not the mastermind.
He's a novice.
He's kind of winging it.
Yeah.
So if
he doesn't know what foolproof means.
he's a rookie. So if you take all of those factors into consideration, maybe we could let it slide.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to our poster. And we usually don't go over posters for our features that we review, but I want to. How would you rate this poster? We have an image of, it looks like a neon spiral behind the head of a very perplexed looking Chris Rock.
I like this poster. I think that it was a different type of Saw movie because all the other Saw posters are this sort of like rusty white background.
Monochromatic, white and black.
Yeah, with a severed limb. So this one's almost the complete opposite.
Yeah, it's very vibrant. It's still moody and dark, but the spiral is very illuminating and bright.
Yeah, so I'm a fan of it.
I like it.
Yeah, I wouldn't get this tattooed on my body, but I might put a sticker on my notebook.
Yeah, I would take a sticker. Sticker sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to have a spiral tattoo on my wrist,
did.
so I love spirals.
You basically had this tattooed on your body.
I did. So does that make me a Jigsaw?
You're a super spiral
Copycat?
fan. You're a super fan.
Super spiral fan.
Yeah. Wow. Before you
But
even knew.
it's no longer there. So
Former spiral fan.
yeah.
I want something besides a sticker. I want an oven mitt.
An oven mitt. Oh yeah, this would make a good oven mitt.
It would, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of electric ovens have a spiral on it. So it'd be cool to have a matching oven mitt that has the little spiral.
Yeah. And oven mitts are good for padding the blow of a slap. So, you know, if you go by the Oscar thing where Chris Rock got slapped.
So you're going to get a spiral merch oven mitt and send it to Will Smith.
Yes.
Wow. Wow.
I mean, you can't separate that moment of history from him anymore. It's just
yes, I can. I want to ignore that moment, that blemish of Oscar history.
I thought the blemish of Oscar history was inviting the Family Guy writer Seth MacFarlane.
I loved him. I thought he was a great host.
The I saw your boobs bit. I thought that was
funny.
the blemish.
Everyone loved it.
I think you're in the minority there.
It was funny. He had that whole bit about that movie, Plane Flight with Denzel Washington. Is it?
That was funny.
Socks in the Dryer parody.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Watch that every day. All right. Overall blockbuster rating. Is this getting your staff pick, a main shelf, bargain bin, or is it going in the back alley dumpster?
Main shelf. I have some problems with previous Saw movies. I remember going through it and going to watch every movie in the theater because it came out every year for I think 7 years straight and just getting kind of tired of it. I imagine this is what people in the early 80s felt with slasher movies.
Yeah.
So I was pleasantly surprised that it was a refreshing new take. It wasn't perfect. It was at least entertaining. So
I agree.
It's going to go on my main shelf.
Yeah. So although some of the movies in the Saw franchise would go into a bargain bin for me, to get on the main shelf as a Saw movie is quite an accolade. So I agree. I would put this on my main shelf pretty solidly next to the first Saw.
Do you think that they are planning to make a Spiral 2?
If Chris Rock wanted to do a Spiral 2, I'm sure they would make a Spiral 2.
That about does it for this episode. If you like what you heard, please like, subscribe, follow, give us a rating. We now have a Patreon page.
We do. Check it out.
We have our first Patreon bonus episode that's coming out. We will be doing a gut spill on the movie Dead Alive.
Dead Alive, a movie that is near and dear to our hearts.
It's one of the movies that solidified us us as a couple. It's one of our first date movies.
Yeah. Thank you for watching and or listening. This has been another episode of Gutted.
Gutted.